Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of translation studies by unpacking the very first chapter of a foundational text. Jeremy Munday's Introducing Translation Studies. If you've ever wondered what translation is all about, beyond just swapping words between languages, you're in the right place. This book is basically the Bible for anyone starting out in the field. So let's get into it. First things first, what even is translation? It sounds simple, but it's more complex than you think. The famous linguist, Roman Jakobson, broke it down into three types. First, there's interlingual translation. This is like rephrasing something within the same language. Think about explaining a complicated scientific paper in simple, everyday terms. That's interlingual translation. You're translating from one version of English to another. Next, we have interlingual translation. This is the one we're all familiar with, translating from one language to another, like from Spanish to English or from Japanese to French. This is often called translation proper because it's the classic definition. And third, there's intersemiotic translation. This one is super interesting. It's translating from one sign system to another. For example, turning a novel into a movie. You're translating the written words on the page into visual and auditory signs on the screen. Or think about turning a musical score into a dance performance. It's a translation from notes to movement. Pretty cool, right? So, with that foundation, what exactly is translation studies? Well, it's the academic discipline that studies all of this. For a long time, translation was just seen as a part of language learning. People didn't really think about it as a field of study in its own right. It was until the second half of the 20th century that it really started to gain momentum and become a proper academic discipline. People realized there was so much to explore. The processes, the theories, the impact of translations on culture. It was a huge shift from just asking, is this translation correct, to asking, how does this translation work and what are its effects? A pivotal moment for the field was the creation of a map of translation studies by James S. Holmes, which was later popularized by Holmes-Toury. This map is super helpful for understanding how everything fits together. Holmes divided the field into two main branches, pure and applied. The pure branch is all about describing and explaining the phenomenon of translation. It's the theoretical side of things. This branch is further split into two parts. First is descriptive translation studies, or DTS. This part looks at existing translations. It might focus on the product, meaning the translated text itself, or it could focus on the function of the translation in its new culture. Or it might focus on the process, trying to understand what actually happens in the translator's mind. The other part of the pure branch is translation theory. This is where scholars use the findings from descriptive studies to build general principles or theories. The goal is to create models that can explain and even predict how translations are done. Then we have the applied branch of Holmes's map. As the name suggests, this is the practical side of the field. It deals with real-world applications. This includes translator training, how we teach people to become better translators. It also covers translation aids, like the development of dictionaries, glossaries, and translation software. And finally, it includes translation criticism, which involves evaluating translations and setting standards. So, the pure branch observes and theorizes, while the applied branch uses that knowledge for practical purposes. One of the most exciting things about translation studies, which Munday really emphasizes, is its interdisciplinarity. It's not a field that exists in a vacuum. It borrows from and contributes to so many other disciplines. Think about it. To translate, you need a deep understanding of linguistics, grammar, syntax, semantics. But that's not enough. Translation is also deeply connected to cultural studies. A translator isn't just translating words. They're translating culture, idioms, cultural references, social norms. All of these have to be navigated. A translation can introduce new ideas into a culture or reinforce existing stereotypes. So, you can't separate translation from its cultural context. And it doesn't stop there. Philosophy plays a huge role, especially when we start asking questions about meaning, interpretation, and faithfulness. What does it mean for a translation to be faithful to the original? Is a truly perfect translation even possible? These are deep philosophical questions that translators and theorists have been debating for centuries. So, to recap, Chapter 1, we've got the three types of translation: interlingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic. We've seen how translation studies grew into its own discipline. We've explored the Holmes-Toury map that divides the field into pure and applied branches. And finally, we've touched on how it connects with linguistics, cultural studies, philosophy, and so much more. It's a dynamic and incredibly rich field of study. This first chapter really sets the stage perfectly for all the different theories and approaches that Munday covers in the rest of the book. Hopefully, this gives you a solid overview of the main issues in translation studies. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into translation and language. Let me know in the comments if you read Munday's book or if you have any questions. See you in the next video.